Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, what we're going to talk about today is, if there's any issues, then just let me know. But today we're going to talk about mindful and intuitive eating and essentially how to make peace with food, because it's really easy to have for food to become a source of stress instead of joy. So today what we're going to talk about is instinctive eating as well as intuitive and mindful eating, and really differentiate between the, traditional like healthy eating diet behaviors, and so that you can understand and hopefully tap into something that I call your intelligent belly and body wisdom, which is amazing. We all have this innate natural resource available to us. And we'll talk a little bit about intraceptive awareness, which is, we all know what it feels like when our body needs to go to bed, or if we have a full bladder. But sometimes what can happen is we can just not know how to interpret our hunger or fullness cues. And so helping people tune into that intraceptive awareness, that inner awareness, and by connecting with their intelligent belly wisdom is really something that I've learned along the way with mindful and intuitive eating. And that's why I kind of trademarked the term intelligent belly wisdom, because we really do have that wisdom in our body. We're also going to talk about, mindful and intuitive eating as a successful approach to promote all kinds of positive behavioral outcomes, key strategies to adapt so that you can have a sustainable relationship with food. Because even though I was in diet culture for 20 years, and did the restrictive piece really well because I was being a good dietitian, it can turn on you. Like, you can really go down a rabbit hole with the whole like clean and like clean eating and the wellness diet. And then also, it's really great to see that there is a health at every size and body positivity movement. And then we'll also talk a little bit about, people, if they have a weight bias or stigma or any kind of prejudice against people based on their body size. So just a little bit about me. I am actually from Atlanta, believe it or not. I was born in Piedmont Hospital. I did move out west to California and Hawaii, and then also moved up in Connecticut. But I graduated at the University of Georgia. I did a dietetic internship, which is very similar to a doctor's residency. Mine was only a year versus 7 years that a doctor has to do. But we, as dietitians, we have to do a residency in a clinical setting, which I did in Augusta. I also worked at Shepherd Center, which is...
For 1 second, Jennifer, are we supposed to be seeing a screen as you're talking?
Oh yeah, can you not see the screen?
No, we don't see the screen.
Oh no, okay. Let's see, because that's what I've got. Is it still on share screen?
So I gave access to share. If you want to email it to
me. Oh, I probably have to. Okay, yeah, I probably have to. Let's see. Oh yeah, share. Here we go.
There we go. Okay, we're good to go now.
Thank you for that. I'm so sorry. I was just
yakking
right away. All right, so let's get back to here. Oh, now I can see y'all. That's so much better. Okay, good. Now I can see the faces. Nice. So I also worked at Shepherd Center, which is a world-renowned traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injury hospital here in Atlanta, which was amazing. I also worked in bariatric surgery, which is weight loss surgery at Wellstar, and I had a very, very handsome Caribbean doctor, Dr. Jean-Pierre, who I cried when I left. I still keep in touch with all the staff there. I love them. But I was romanced by Blast, which was a boutique gym here. So it was really interesting to go from bariatric surgery, where my largest patient was 600 pounds, to working in a boutique shishi gym where like people wanted to lose like 3 pounds, right? So it was a really, really like on opposite ends of the spectrum. And then the whole time I had been hustling and starting my private practice, and then eventually just being fatigued of having that weight conversation with people of weight loss, just so focused on that, and recognizing how unsustainable the diet behaviors I was teaching people was, which made me get out of everything that was so weight focused, and, eventually started really doing a deep dive into mindful and intuitive eating. There's just some memberships that I'm affiliated with if y'all are interested in stuff like that. But I do love to snowboard. I love to do yoga. I meditate. I love animals and music. And I'm very much a plant focused person, because I think it's aligns with my heart and soul. I'm very much attuned with, as a Taurus, I'm very much into the natural rhythms of the earth. I'm a very grounded individual. And I and it also connects you to a deeper source that's much higher than we are when you are eating food that's been when you're eating food that's plant-based, right? That's been grown in the earth and has been blessed by the sun, that there's, an energy that gets exchanged when the sun is, through that photosynthesis, that is exchanging with the plants. And so when you eat those plants, it increases your energy and it heals the body on an exponential level. So when I started doing a lot of the science behind a plant-based diet, I went really heavy into that. And so I still teach clients how to incorporate more plants into their diet just for optimal wellness. I love to travel and educate my clients and just, live a mindful lifestyle. So I do always throw out warnings with all my, like anytime I do any kind of lectures on mindful and intuitive eating, because we can be really, I know, and I say this because when I first learned about mindful eating and intuitive eating in my internship as a soon-to-be dietitian, I was so rooted in my own personal beliefs of, well, I have this, I have my food piece down. I don't need to learn anymore. This whole mindfulness and intuitiveness sounds really fluffy and unscientific, which is not true. There's tons of science on it. But at the time I had a lot of bias around it because I had very restrictive eating behaviors, and challenging those made me feel really uncomfortable. So I just encourage you, when we're talking about these philosophies of mindful and intuitiveness, that you just have like a really open and expansive mindset around it. And if you do get triggered during our conversation today, then that's just an area to explore and get curious about, right? And so, and additionally, anything I teach you today, challenge it, right? Because the only way we ever evolve and grow is if we're challenging the status quo.
Mm.
So I have this picture of my sister and I, because my sister is very much an intuitive eater. She has been since birth. And we all are at birth. We are all very intuitive eating. We're intuitive eaters just by, well, there's a very small subgroup of infants who don't have intuitive skills, and that's we won't go down that rabbit hole. But we do, like, it's amazing when you are, if you're nursing a newborn, they have rooting reflexes. They know where to go on the breast. They know when to stop when they're full. So we have these instinctive and intuitive eating behaviors. And then what can happen through our life is that we, those just by, being triggered emotionally, or if we have food scarcity that we grow up with, or just the lessons that we learn through our, as we're growing up as kids and into adolescence, those, our belief systems can be influenced, right? So, we may not have access to food, or, what my best friend grew up and there were 10 kids. So whenever they ate, they had to eat very fast. And it wasn't a matter of, oh, I'm hungry. It's, we have food and I have to eat fast. Otherwise, my 9 brothers and sisters will eat all the food. So it's always fascinating to hear the background history on clients, to understand why they have the eating behaviors that they have. But my sister, she was very much always an intuitive eater. She didn't really think about food until she was hungry. She usually used food as fuel. Like when she was hungry, she would eat. If she was stressed, she wouldn't eat. Because that's actually, when your body is stressed, the stress hormones that are released actually turn off digestion. And so it's not optimal to eat. It's a very confusing signal to send to the body to eat when it's stressed, because it doesn't have the resources to break down that food properly. And so that's just the way she always fueled her body. She would eat when she's hungry. She would stop when she was content or full, and she just didn't eat when she was stressed. Now, I was the opposite. I was a stress eater. And she just really ate whatever she wanted. She never had struggled with food or her weight or had a funky relationship with food. She just naturally lived an active lifestyle, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to exercise X amount of hours a day. She just was always active and never really struggled with her weight. And she was just like a really good like North Star for me when I was on my mindful and intuitive eating journey, because I would just always reflect back on how my sister ate. And so I want y'all to think about if there's anyone in your family, either immediate or extended, or a best friend, or, you know, a mentor, someone that you could think of who might fall in that category of an intuitive eater, where they just really don't seem to struggle with their weight. They don't seem to struggle with food. They're not, you know, going on and off diets. The conversations are not always around food and what's latest and trendy. They could just eat and leave food on the plate. Like, I remember my mom would make chocolate chip cookies from scratch. Okay. Not in a cold Toll House container. I mean, like, she'd make everything from scratch. My brother and I were like, oh my gosh, we're ready for cookies. It didn't even matter if we just eaten lunch. We were like, let's shovel in as many cookies as we can in our mouth. And my sister would eat half a cookie, and I'm not kidding, she'd go, I'm full. And we were like, what is wrong with you? Who cares? Like, you just keep eating because we have this food. So this is the way she always ate. So I want y'all to think about someone who might fall under that category of intuitive eater, or maybe you are an intuitive eater. Can y'all think about anyone maybe in your family who was intuitive eaters? Is this resonating with anyone as far as like thinking about someone that they might?
My grandfather is that way.
Oh, is he? I love that. That's great.
Give us an example, Tashish.
Like, he would really, okay, so basically he would only eat breakfast, and if he's full, he just stops eating and he saves the rest for later. And then, like, let's say like around 8 o'clock, like, he would eat some cereal, you know, just to kind of like fill up his stomach a little bit, and then that's literally all he would eat for the rest of the day. I don't even think he eats like 3 meals. Like, he just eats like 1 full meal, and then he would like probably like snack throughout the day, and then that's it.
And he's eating by what a term I've coined as your unique food code, because everyone's a little bit different, right? Ever since I was a child, I mean, I hated getting up for school, but what was worse was my mom was always trying to like nourish us with a big breakfast, and I just don't have an appetite for breakfast. Mm-hmm. But what I do love, and what I did love as a kid, was the Ovaltine. So I had hot chocolate and this big breakfast. Well, I'd pack up my breakfast and give it to my best friend, but I always drank the Ovaltine. And to this day, during the winter and colder months, I love to make, like, now I put a protein powder in it just to make it have it, you know, boost, just to give it a little more, you know, energy. So it can last a little bit longer. But I love to have a protein hot chocolate in the morning, like, because it's something that I had as a kid, and I don't naturally have an appetite, but I do like to have liquids. And then once my true appetite kicks in, then I honor it and I eat. And then, just like your grandfather, you know, snacking throughout the day, sometimes my appetite is bigger. And then there's if I'm more active, and then there's other times where I'm like, wow, gee, I'm not even hungry. This is so interesting. And so, you know, it sounds like your grandfather really honors his hunger cues, which is great. That's great. So you can also pick up on those intuitive eating skills too, which is awesome.
Jennifer, I saw another comment. Jada, you were mentioning something I saw in the chat room. You can speak up if you'd like.
Yeah, please, Jada.
Hi. Yes, I was just saying that what you described sounds like the way that I eat. I don't eat a whole lot, but I do basically just eat when I'm full, and then if I'm full, I just stop eating. I don't stuff myself or anything.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, I think you're really listening to that intelligent belly wisdom and honoring your hunger cues and your fullness cues, which is great. Because there's a lot of people that I work with that struggle with that. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know, we all use different things to cope, but people can use food as a big coping mechanism, right? If they feel very overwhelming emotions, if things stress them out or cause anxiety or depression, then food can become a friend. And so I help them create a different relationship with food in their body so that they use it to, you know, they always have permission to use food in whatever capacity makes sense for them. But it's more of a, let's just find out the manner in which your body likes to be nourished, instead of, you know, regulating it emotionally, and pairing that with food. Because like I said, it can send kind of a confusing message to the body if it's not asking for food, or if digestion has been shut off. So I just help them reconnect to what is going to honor their body a little bit better. So just kind of like recapping again, intuitive eating traits, they just, you know, they don't diet. They don't obsess over food. There's no guilt or shame about food. And it's more of a, you know, instead of being in control and being disciplined, it's their food choices are just kind of aligned with what sounds good and nourishing to them. And I do caution, because I know, like, there are some celebrities who are promoting a new book that just came out by Dr. William Cole, and he's a chiropractor. He's not a medical doctor, and I'm not bashing chiropractors because my husband is one, but he knows the spine very well, but I would never write a book about chiropractic because that's not my, you know, scope of practice. And so my point is that he wrote a book called Intuitive Fasting, and it's really causing a lot of confusion in the world of nutrition, especially intuitive and mindful dietitians really got up in arms over this. And this was, interestingly enough, it was very interesting how it was during National Eating Disorders Association Awareness Week that this book was launched. And it's very much a diet book pretending not to be a diet book. So it's important as individuals that we have our, you know, like our antennas up and understand, like, this doesn't feel like it's aligned with me, or because a lot of times people are passing things off as something that they're not. Like, they're trying to say, oh, this isn't really a diet, but it is 110% a diet. So it's a little harmful where they're, you know, because intuitive eating was created by two dietitians back in 1993. And for them to co-opt that word, you know, join into the word intuitive, which is more tuning inward, and teaching people how to fast, which is very much a restrictive diet behavior. It's not in alignment. And there are a lot of people who are in diet recovery and eating disorder recovery who were very, very triggered by this book being published. So it's something to pay attention to. And just for background information, I went really, really down the wellness rabbit hole personally. I used to do, you know, juice cleanses. Today's the spring equinox. Every you know, equinox and solstice, I would do some type of fast to align myself with more spirit, just for spiritual reasons. But then it also started becoming a little bit of an obsession, where then I got to a point where I wouldn't eat anything that wasn't organic. I wouldn't eat anything that was packaged. My social life became very conflicted and very anxiety ridden anytime I was invited somewhere. And because the first thought was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? I can't eat the food because it's not clean. It's not in my rigid structure of what I think I should be putting into my temple. And it really, I have an extreme personality. So I went down that wellness rabbit hole quite far and deep. And I will say, you know, because I really like to balance things out. My rising sign is Libra, and the Libra is all about balance. It's the scales. And one of the things that I found, I was like, wow, you know, this is fascinating to eat a raw food, because I was also a raw vegan for 3 years and didn't eat anything that was cooked. It was all plants. And I was like, no one tells you how good you can feel. And which is true, because I didn't learn about that when I was at UGA as an undergrad. I didn't learn about, you know, we never talked about we touched on vegetarian, but we really didn't touch on veganism. And I prefer to be vegan for the planet. I really like to make sure that I have I decrease my impact on Mother Earth. But what happens is that it can be so restrictive that it really is hard to just live in this world if you live in a city. Like if I lived in Hawaii, I think I could easily be, you know, mostly raw vegan in Hawaii because it's warm. There's low stress in Hawaii, but like when you live in a city, it's a little bit different kind of a vibrational energy.
And
But
Jennifer, if you don't mind for me to interject just a little bit so I can get the
please.
students. Yeah, so students, the reason why I brought Jennifer on, in addition to all of the information she's giving us as a model, it's important for you to understand your instrument, and your instrument is your body. So you all are starting out as models now. Some of you have been models for years, but as you see, so I'm not going to say how old I am now because I shocked one of my students yesterday, but for me, I thought once I reached a certain age, I'm out of the modeling game, but that is not true. Once a model, always a model. So I have these features or whatever it may be. Even if I get gray, they're still going to probably utilize me for something in my age group or age category. So it's important for you to understand intuitive eating so that you keep your product together throughout your life and you're not doing this yo-yo diet or yo-yo lifestyle to stay a certain
on a
size.
diet, off a diet, on a diet, off
Yes.
a diet.
And then the other thing, Jennifer, I want to mention, some of the students said, you know, they were teased for being too thin, you know, or teased for being whatever it may be. If that's your natural size, that's your natural size. And then on the flip side, if you're more of a full-figured person, with the intuitive eating, and I'll leave that up to Jennifer, because the modeling industry is changing. Where I'm not telling you to be a size 0. I'm bringing Jennifer on to help you all listen to your body, whether it's at a size 0 or a size.
It feels good in your body.
Correct.
Right? Because like what I eat might not feel good in your body, right?
Hello. Uh-oh. I think I'm frozen.
Strudel, like these pastries for breakfast every morning because I didn't know anything else to eat, and I loved them, quite honestly. But my stepmom she was doing a diet where she just only ate fruit for breakfast or until noon or something. I think that was what it was. And that was fascinating to me. So instead of eating pastries for breakfast, I started having fruit. And the amazing thing happened. This was like the first step on my mindful eating journey. I recognized how I wasn't crashing in school. Like all of a sudden I had energy to get through my class. And I was like, wow, that's never happened before. When I have my pastry, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm struggling for energy by 10. And so, you know, it's important to find the balance of food that gives you the energy that you need to power through your day, because it's different for everybody. Like everybody's metabolism is different. It's very different if you have a family history of diabetes. Like I would suggest if you do, like skipping meals isn't the best thing for that, especially, and there's ketogenic diets. The research is not sustainable, and worse, we're going to see a lot of bone issues in about 10 years from people who, if they can stay on keto. But I don't want to get too much off on track, but yeah, I could talk about this for days. So Intuitive eating, this is if you're interested in really reading more about it, this is the latest book that was just re-edited by the authors, Evelyn Tribole and Elise Rush, who are two dietitians out in California who created this concept. And this is, so the reason I picked this picture was because this is the updated version, because the older version has a little bit of diet culture language in it. So it can be kind of confusing, because the field of intuitive eating and mindfulness have definitely expanded in terms of recognizing language that might be a little triggering, back in the 90s versus where we are now. And even with mindfulness, there's, tons of research where incorporating mindful eating skills actually can cause people to lose weight. I have seen clients of mine who were overeaters, and where they just, because I have like a 30-day mindful eating challenge, they did the challenge and they wound up losing weight because they were able to start tapping into their intuitive and mindful eating skills and start, instead of overeating, they were able to recognize, why they were doing what they were doing with food, and then starting to get more aligned with what felt better in their body. And essentially what happens is, when you start eating, listening to that, what I call the intelligent belly wisdom, and cracking your own unique food code, then your body will find an easy, natural weight that feels sustainable for you, right? So everybody's body is very different. I have some clients who would be considered like in the obese category, but when I look at their lab work, everything's perfect. Their cholesterol level looks great. Their blood pressure, there's nothing wrong. And so when their doctors are telling them they need to lose weight, I'm like, well, ask your doctor why, because there's no fatty liver, there's no diabetes, your A1C looks great, your blood sugar looks great. Like, there's nothing that's indicating any kind of issue, but you're just in a larger body naturally, and that's okay. So there are some people who just are naturally physically in a larger body. But one of the nice things about mindful and intuitive eating is that it can help you when you start tuning in and dialing into your body and listening to that inner wisdom. Then your body will just naturally find like the healthy weight where you don't have to struggle, you don't have to diet, you don't have to constantly monitor and take up so much headspace around food. It should be, we should eat for joy. We should also eat for energy. We should eat because, we're hungry. There's a lot of reasons why we should eat. And it's just a matter of like tuning into that intelligent wisdom of the body. But one of the things that's really important with intuitive eating is, and I just want y'all to tune in. There's no shame, because I've been on just about, well, not the most recent trendy diets, but back, several decades ago, I did every single diet known to man. But the nice thing about intuitive eating is that you really learn how to delete the diet mindset that happens the very first time you do a diet, because dieting, focusing on your weight will absolutely influence. Well, you can't eat intuitively when the diet language in your head is overriding the intuitive eating wisdom. So it's one of those things that they just can't coexist. And so, I had a 16-year-old who came to me who had done one diet, and she was obsessed with her weight from that one diet. So it doesn't take much, right? It's almost like drugs. There are some drugs, you just take them once and then you're hooked for life, right? So it's kind of the same with a diet. You just don't know who it's going to impact and how it's going to affect them. All right, there are some, the 10 principles of mindful eating, I'll just go through really quick. It's just rejecting the diet mentality, which I just kind of touched on. Honoring your hunger, which we definitely flushed out, really tuning into what your body is asking for and when it's physically hungry. Making peace with food was a really long process for me. The first thing that I remember when I was dieting, I didn't like is anyone afraid of carbs? Is that like a food group that y'all might, I just want to tune in with everyone and see how they feel about carbs. Does it cause any kind of panic or anxiety? Is it a food group that's confusing to you? How do y'all feel about carbs?
It used to
Sometimes.
be, oh, go ahead. I'm gonna let somebody else talk.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, sometimes certain carbs and sugars make my head hurt and they give me migraines. And there's lots of gluten in it, so I try not to eat certain types of carbs, but
Yeah, is there anyone else that has a similar experience, or are they able to eat anything? You have a iron stomach. Some of us just have sensitive bellies and sensitive systems.
No one else?
No one else has any fears about carbs? Okay, that's okay.
Not
That's
really.
usually the food that people have to make peace with the most, because that's the one that's promoted in the media as like scary and carbs are bad. And the reality is that carbs are your number one source of fuel. It's very easy for your body to break down carbohydrates and utilize it for energy. But carbohydrates are divided into two categories, which makes them really confusing. So there's starchy carbs, which are the sticky kind that would be tacky when you cooked them, like a potato or pasta or rice or bread. Like when it gets cooked, it has that kind of squishy texture, and it might have like a sticky, tacky consistency to it. And then there's the non-starchy. So starchy would be bread, pasta, rice, like, cupcakes, all the yummy stuff. And then the non-starchy would be things that if you cooked them and like squeezed them, they would look like fiber. You could just see all the fiber strands. So just think of green beans or asparagus or lettuce, anything that has like that's like really fiber rich, that would be the consistency. And so the starchy carbohydrates are the ones that tend to break down quickly. And if someone has diabetes in the family, or if they have, they don't, or if they tend
yes,
to wait quickly.
Sorry,
yes,
everybody mute yourselves, please. I'm sorry, Jennifer.
That's okay. But those starchy carbohydrates are the ones that tend to get beat up in the media the most. And sugar would fall under that, under that carbohydrate that breaks down very quickly and gives you energy. And so to the model who made the comment about like certain foods, certain carbohydrates or like sugars and things that tend to give them migraines, it could be those fast moving, I call them fast moving carbohydrates, because they just break down so fast in the body, and that can just kind of overload the brain. Some people, it affects like either the endocrine system or the hormones. It can affect neurologically the brain, or it can affect the digestion. So it affects my digestion. It throws my belly off. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't mean I don't eat it. I just try and figure out how to comprise the meal so it doesn't cause things to feel uncomfortable. But then one of the other principles is feel your fullness, which is really fascinating. If you've ever been on a diet, one of the things that is part of the undoing process or the reconnecting process is understanding what it feels like to feel hungry and not being afraid of that. Because when people diet and they have that hunger cue, that can be very fearful to them, because the story in the head is, well, if I eat, it's going to make me gain weight, so I need to stop eating so I lose weight. So then the hunger cues start to become very scary, and you can't go for long periods of time, without eating. There are some people who can naturally. I work with a lot of men can eat twice a day. Like one of the models who mentioned their grandfather eats, like one meal and kind of snacks throughout the day, or maybe we'll eat at 8 o'clock. Men sometimes can only, get by with eating a couple meals a day and they're fine. And that can be hormonally driven. And then there's other people who just need to eat smaller meals throughout the day, like 6 to 8 times a day. It just really depends on the metabolism. But for some people, like really honoring their fullness and understanding and recognizing what it feels like to feel hungry and what it feels like to feel full, and honoring those things is really important. Because personally, when I first started working with mindful and intuitive eating and honoring my hunger cues that felt very scary, because it was like, oh, if I eat, I'm going to gain weight. It's like, no, your body's biologically asking for fuel. It's asking for food. It's asking for vitamins and minerals and nutrition. It's asking for information. And once I started feeding it and tuning into my hunger cues, I was like, wow, I would overeat because I didn't eat when my body was asking for food. I would keep saying, no, let me drink soft drinks. Let me, drink tea. Let me chew gum. Let me do all these other diet behaviors so that I won't eat because I'm afraid if I eat, I'll gain weight. But then the reality is that by ignoring those hunger cues, your body is super smart and it'll just go, okay, you're not listening. Let me flood you with some cravings for sweets. And then you won't be very discerning or particular about the foods that you wind up eating, which causes a nasty guilt cycle. But because you've denied yourself food when your body was asking for it, it can set you up for overeating. It did for me. So by tuning into what it felt like to feel full, I started recognizing that I didn't like how full I was making myself, and I attributed it to skipping the meals. So that can be a really important thing with a lot of clients.
Can I ask a question, Jennifer?
Yeah.
This is just you're personally speaking. Well, so for me, I work a lot and I get hungry, but I'm working. So then I'll skip a meal and I will get pains. You get what I'm saying? And then when it's time to eat, I'm in so much pain from skipping a meal that I don't want to eat. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I feel like I'm hurt. Am I hurting something? I know I need to do better with that. Like,
right. Well, I think even if you had something that was, quick and easy, fast, that you could, like a protein shake or a smoothie or something that you could drink while working, something that's quickly prepared, or even some fruit, or like, it's just, sometimes you just have to experiment. But if the body will like release hunger signals and cues, and if we can ignore it, and then actually the liver will go through this process of gluconeogenesis, which is just a fancy term for your body releasing stored energy. And that can only happen so many times before their body's like, hey, like, come on, Pearl, I'm hungry. Like, don't make me break down my own food. Like, I need food, right? So then and what happens is, you're not feeling good because your body's having to utilize a lot of energy to make that, go through that process. So maybe making sure you're sipping on water throughout your day can be super helpful too.
Jennifer, we have several questions that are coming in the chat.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so from Sanaa, what are the best times to eat throughout the day? What is the latest time you are supposed to eat at night?
Oh, I love that question. That's so good. Well, so I will answer the first one. The best times to eat really depend on your schedule and your available times to eat, and your hunger levels, right? So I mentioned earlier that when I wake up in the morning, I'll have, just liquid for breakfast, or like my hot chocolate or something, because I'm not physically hungry. And then my hunger levels usually kick in around 10:30 or 11. And then I eat again, I don't know, whenever I'm hungry again, which sometimes is 2 or 3, and then dinner, and then maybe, a snack later if I'm hungry. So there is no like best time, right? I think it's just, I think what's more important is not going too far between feeding, right? For me, if I go longer than 4 to 5 hours, it's not good. My blood sugar just gets too low. My body is in a panic state and it just doesn't feel good. I can't make a decision on what to eat. It's very confusing. So I think finding your flow with food, but I would say probably every, 3 to 4, 5 probably max hours between, even if it's a small snack, it doesn't have to be a full meal, but just working and seeing what works for your body. That's tapping into your intelligent belly wisdom and then cracking your unique food code, like the times that you like to eat, right? So like I mentioned, when I was younger, my mom just kept trying to force feed me for breakfast, and food is nauseating to me in the morning. I'm not a food person. I love dinner. But to answer your question about So my point is, like, you just have to find your own rhythm with food that makes sense. To answer your question about should I eat, how late is too late? You know, in diet culture, we hear, and I know Oprah promoted this a long, long time ago, like nothing past 7. That's how she lost a lot of weight. And the problem is if you eat at, like, your last meal is at 7, but you are staying up till midnight or later, and you're physically hungry and you're just starving yourself, that's not good either. What I actually like to do if I'm physically hungry at night is I'll eat some fruit, because fruit is quickly digested in, 30, 45 minutes. It actually produces, helps the body produce serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter or brain chemical, which converts into melatonin, which is the sleep chemical. So it actually, like, a little bit of fruit before bed is one of those things that, it breaks down in the body very easily, and it can help the body, it can help promote sleep. And the other reason why I like fruit is because if you eat a big meal and then go to bed, that's really not aligned with the body's natural rhythms. The body would prefer utilizing that fuel during the daytime when it's going to use it, right? So it's kind of like, I'm going to hop in my car, there's not going to be any gas in it, and then I'm going to somehow get home on an empty tank, and then I'm going to fill it. It's the exact same thing with the body. The body's like, why aren't you giving me my fuel during the daytime when I need it? Why are you giving me all this fuel at night? Because when we go to sleep, our bodies are going through and doing a ton of house cleaning. It's going in and repairing and regenerating the body while we sleep, so that we can wake up refreshed and, just power through our day the next day. Well, if we have a big meal and then go to bed, now the body's got 2 jobs. It has to digest all the food, and it also has to try and get its house cleaning done, and it's very stressful. So I know that, and I like to honor the rhythms of my body. Does it mean I do it every time? No. If I go on vacation and we have a big dinner at night, I'm not going to freak out about it. There are times where I might, celebrate for a birthday or an anniversary, but it's just not something I like to do, because once I started practicing mindful and intuitive eating, I started paying attention to how things felt. And even though I used to eat that way, at my heightened level of awareness, I recognized this just doesn't feel good anymore, right? It's not like a diet or a body image thing. It's just this doesn't feel good. I don't sleep well. Eating large meals before night can cause night sweats for some people. I've helped women transition through menopause very seamlessly because we managed their blood sugars and didn't have those big spikes with, alcohol or, big meals at night. And so it's really not the best time to nourish the body. Now, that being said, if you have a crushing workout before bed, yes, you need to feed your body then. Like, if you go to the gym and, like, just destroy yourself, and then you're like, oh, Jennifer said I can't eat before bedtime, please fuel yourself. Your body's going to need that to repair and regenerate all the muscles all the damage that you've done in the gym. So, all right. So where are we?
We have another question.
Okay, sure.
Kind of sum up what you said. So it sounds like a balancing act. So at night, so earlier in the day, you need to fuel your body because that's when you're moving the most. At night, when you're having your dinner, you're saying not have such a big dinner, or if you do have a big dinner, allow the body to process that food to utilize that fuel, and then you can rest.
Right. I mean, what's suggested is giving the body at least 3 hours. Like, if you eat at 8, and you go to bed at 11, that's enough time to, at least, so that you're not going to bed and having reflux or any kind of GI side effects. Mm-hmm. But like I said, there's no food rules. You just find your sweet spot with food, right? I mean, because there are some times where if I went to the gym in the afternoon or after work and I had a really heavy workout and I had like a kind of a smallish dinner because maybe I just didn't have an appetite, and then later at night I was really hungry, I'm like, I'm going to honor that, because nothing's worse than going to bed hungry or waking up. Like, if I wake up the next day starving, I know I messed up the day before, right? And so then it's like, oh, thank you, body, for letting me know. How can I remedy this, right? Like, and then recognizing what your food patterns are that feel good for your body, which, by the way, women can change through your menstrual cycle. So it's just, so throwing another little like kind of curve in there, but it's, you know, usually 2 weeks, the week before our cycle, we can have food cravings, or because our hormones are, you know, fluctuating and our energy levels are, you know, fluctuating. We might have, you know, PMS pain. One of the things I will say though, is I do want to advocate for, if you can, experiment with this, right? So just remember, everything I say doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like truth for your body. What I encourage you to do is tap into your wisdom and find out what feels good for you. What felt good for me, what feels good for me is not eating like kind of food that's out of alignment for what feels good in my body. So I tend to keep things, you know, a little bit more on the, like, what people would call the cleaner side the week before my cycle, because then I just don't have PMS. Like I feel for people who have it, but I don't get PMS. And I have, you know, friends who have just bedridden PMS because their hormones are unbalanced, but you really can regulate your hormones better by the way you eat and the way you manage your stress and the way you sleep. Absolutely.
We got another question from Jada. What advice do you have for people that eat intuitively but are trying to gain healthy weight?
Ooh, I love that. I work with a fair amount of clients on weight gain, and it's one of my favorite things because there's so many other like natural healthy fats that you can add into the diet, like avocado, or if you drink dairy, whole milk, adding in some like heavy whipping creams in there, ice creams. Granola is another good food that can put weight on the body. So intuitively, you might just need to increase your portion sizes a little bit at a time, right? You don't have to like force feed your body, but just gradually increase your portion sizes, maybe by a fourth of a cup or half a cup at a time, and then allow your stomach to adjust to the portion difference, and just until you can start to gain weight. But that's one of the things I work with a lot of people. Some people, like my husband, he loses weight in his sleep. I mean, I can't even sleep next to him because he's a heater. He just puts off, so his body is just constantly like generating so much energy. And yeah, so there's just some people who that's just their genetic coding. They're always going to be on the slim side, just like there are some people who are always going to be on, you know, more of a plus size, and they're still from my perspective, when I look at their lab work, I'm like, you're healthy, right? I mean, if we don't have anything wrong with you, then you're just in a larger body. Some people come in larger bodies, some people come in smaller bodies. And so then I would say, you know, if you can't gain weight, I mean, I've never not been able to put weight on someone. I don't try with my husband because he doesn't pay me. So just kidding. But there's ways where you can just slowly and gradually and continuously like adding food into your diet, just eating a little bit more, keep increasing those calories. But that's fun. Oh my gosh. Eat lots of granola. But moving right along, because I know we have dinner reservations, so I have to be mindful of our time.
We have 10 more minutes, Jennifer.
Well, see, this goes very fast. So I'm gonna pass through this. This is the 1 through 10 hunger scale that I use a lot with clients. It's very helpful. You know, with 1 being at one end of the scale is like really shaky, crying, like beyond hangry, and 10 is Thanksgiving Day full. So, you know, being able to feel your fullness and your hunger is really fun to start playing around with. 5 would be neutral, right smack dab in the middle, where you're not hungry, you're not full, you're not even thinking about food, and then just kind of playing around with the subtle nuances. So 1 is really, really starving, not a good place. 2 is hangry. 3 is you're hungry, but not in a place where, oh my gosh, I need to eat food right now. It's like, I could have a salad, I could have, you know, a sandwich, I could have pasta, I could have pizza. Like you could just have food, right? Food sounds interesting. But at a 2, you're like, it's really kind of confusing to like, you just don't know what to eat because you're so hangry. 4 is what I call kinda, like where you're kind of munchy, you want to eat something, but you're not like super, super hungry. 5 is, just right smack dab in the middle where you're satisfied. There's no, you're just neutral. 6 is content, which is a very fascinating thing to stop at when you're content. 7 is full. 8 is very full. 9 is stuffed. And then 10 is Thanksgiving Day full. So it's fun to, work with this, but not from a perspective of, oh, I only eat when I'm a 3 and I only stop when I'm a 7 or an 8. It's just kind of finessing the numbers so that you can find what feels good in your body. And I will say, I recognized during my mindful eating journey, I always got to a 9. Like I really ate until I was stuffed and uncomfortable. And I just, even at Thanksgiving, I don't like the way that feels anymore. So it's really unusual for me to get past an 8 anymore. And I used to always eat until I was like a 9 or 10. So that's been really interesting to see during my journey, because it just doesn't feel good anymore. I touched a little bit on this intraceptive awareness, which was when we can feel the hunger cues in our body. We can feel when our bladder is full. We can feel when we need sleep. We can feel when we're stressed. So it's an intraceptive awareness is important, especially when you're talking about mindful and intuitive eating, because this intraceptive awareness lets you be able to finesse that hunger scale. It can help you know what the difference between a 1 and a 2 feels. It can let you know what a difference between a 7 where you're comfortably full and an 8 where you're like, yeah, I think I ate like 1 bite too much. So it's really cool to tap into that wisdom. The side effects of dieting. Is there anyone who wants to like fess up and say that they're dieting? No pressure, and no judgment.
Is anyone dieting?
And that's okay.
Alex is. We got one that said they are. One student said they're dieting.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So then the challenge with mindful and intuitive eating when you're dieting is that it disconnects you from your intuitive wisdom, because instead of listening to your body, you're listening to someone else telling you what to eat, how much to eat, when to stop. So it doesn't allow you to tune into that natural wisdom. And I'll tell you, it took me a long time to finally connect to that. Because like I said, I had been dieting for 20 years and that was what I knew very well. And then the mindful and intuitiveness felt very unusual because, it felt unusual, but it also felt like I was reconnecting with a side of me that I knew from childhood, because I definitely remember having some very mindful moments with food. So yeah, it's just, the challenge is that dieting can set you up for, disordered eating behaviors or the risk for eating disorders. I work with, patients who struggle with anorexia or bulimia, a lot of binge eating disorders that can happen from dieting. So I would definitely encourage anyone who's dieting to start at least looking at mindful and intuitive eating as an approach to having more of a peaceful relationship with food in their body. So mindfulness, this was a really interesting word for me. It's kind of crazy to think that this was almost 10 years ago when I started studying this, but mindfulness was it wasn't very popular. But because it's a big word. It's an all-encompassing word, because you're really being present in the present moment, right? Like how do you feel sitting in this chair? That's mindfulness, right? How does the breath feel in your lungs? Like how do your clothes feel on your body? Like where's your hunger levels? Where's your, is my voice annoying to you? Do you like it? Like that's mindfulness, right? So it's such a big encompassing word. And the amazing thing is once you start practicing mindfulness, especially around food in your body, it starts filtering in so many areas of your life, which is, it's so cool to see. I didn't think it was gonna make the impact that it did, but it really is just the lost art of being in the present moment. And we have so many distractions, we're looking at our phones, we're talking, engaged in conversation, and we might be kind of lighthousing and looking at everything else around us. So like the mindfulness allows us to be very present and very in the beauty of the moment. And I know when I first heard about mindfulness, it sounded kind of like silly to me, but then it was like I was just being so judgmental because I wasn't mindful. And now that I'm able to see the difference, I'm like, wow, this really has been my saving grace. It's pretty amazing.
Jennifer, it's like they say, living in the present is the gift, is the
Oh,
present.
it is. That's why they call it the present. That's why they call it a present, because it is a gift, right? But it's almost one of those things that it it definitely comes with wisdom comes with aging. Like that's the gift of aging, is that you have this level of wisdom. And I wouldn't have gravitated with mindfulness. My personality when I was younger. I'm glad I'm here now. I'm glad I recognize the beauty of it now and the importance of it for living more of a authentic life. Because it's helped me connect to my true passion in life and really stay in alignment and integrity with what feels good for me, right? So it's been a blessing. But this is just something that it's fun to go through, just to kind of not as a judgment kind of thing, but just to see like how mindful am I, right? I'm sorry we're kind of short on time, but I do want to this is important, because sometimes we don't know what mindful is, but we know what mindless is, right? So mindless eating is just kind of numbing out in front of the TV, or numbing out while we're like eating and scrolling on our phone, or talking on the phone, or on our tablet, or reading a book, or just really not being aware of the joy of eating, and like exploring the taste and the textures and the temperatures and the consistency of our food, and like, what is this food doing in my body? How did it get on my plate? Who grew it? Was it even grown, or was it produced in a factory or in a lab? Like, oh my gosh, what am I putting in my body, and how does it physically feel? How does my body react to this food? Does it like it, or is it causing it trauma? So me personally, I have a very delicate, lucky me, and I say that meaningfully, because I'm grateful that I have a sensitive stomach, because then I can help other people with GI conditions. I can hold a lot of space for them and talk, go very deep in conversation, and understand where they're coming from, whereas a lot of other healthcare practitioners might just dispense advice based on textbook. But mindless eating is one of these things where it really can help you recognize the foods that feel good in your body, or I shouldn't say mindful eating will help you recognize the foods that feel good in your body and those that don't. And in the beginning of my mindful eating journey, I was like, you know what, you can eat mindlessly or not, right? And there were definitely times where I was still eating more mindlessly than mindful. But now when I eat mindlessly, I'm like, it doesn't feel good. It's like trying to get by on your day with 1 hour sleep. It's like putting your right shoe on your left foot. It just doesn't fit, right? It just doesn't feel good. But does anyone do any kind of mindless eating? Is it like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm guilty every now and then, like working and just, instead of like really, as you're saying, enjoying my food. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's going to be times where that happens. I mean, I would love to say that I'm a mindful eater 100% of the time, and I'm not. But I'm also aware that I'm doing it, and I'm okay with that, so that there's no judgment. It's just like, okay, I'm doing the best job that I can right now. So let's make sure you do make time to sit down and enjoy your meal and bless it and think about what it's going, where it came from, the farmers who brought it to you, or the whole process of how it got on your plate and what it's going to do in your body, and just really connect to that, because food is the most intimate relationship you'll ever have. Not your spouse, right? Hopefully you're not a cannibal and eating your spouse. We ingest our food and it becomes us. And so it is the most intimate relationship we'll ever have. And so it's so important for us to just pay attention to the nourishing opportunities that we have on our plate, because our world is just so distracted that we're not taking the time to really tune in to this process of really, really nourishing our bodies. And it brings so much more joy to your life. I can't tell you, like, I would just eat on autopilot. Now I'm like, oh, like, there's just like a whole process involved with food now. And that's one of the things that's supposed to bring us joy. But dieting can cause it to be very stressful and confusing, and it can cause a different type of relationship, right? Let me see here. Oh, this is one of the things I did want to bring up, because we have dinner reservations, so I'm trying to be mindful. When we restrict our food, it can lead to binging. And this was actually, when I read the research on this is what made me give up dieting, and why I stopped teaching diet behaviors to clients. Because when we restrict our favorite foods, when we restrict food, it can set us up for overeating or binging. And then that causes this traumatic relationship with food, where we just don't trust like I've heard your clients say, oh, I can't have ice cream in the house, or I can't have cookies, or I can't have this, I can't have chips, I can't have these foods in the house because I'll always overeat it. And the reality is there's a process that you have to undo if you've been avoiding those foods, having that you can get to a place where they're safe and they actually might expire or have freezer burn or whatever. Like, you can get to a place where you eat that food when you want to, but you enjoy it mindfully instead of restricting it. Because when we cut our favorite foods out of our food options, then it can, when we do finally let our guards down, when we've had the crappy day, when we're at the social event, when we're at the Thanksgiving Day table and our favorite aunt made something special, then that restricting of our favorite foods can cause us to binge, and then that just doesn't feel good either. Okay, so the other thing that I love, because I'm also a Health at Every Size dietitian and promote body positivity, I'm really excited to see the diversity in the modeling industry and in Hollywood. Like, we're really expanding, which is well, even on Netflix, like, I don't know if any of y'all saw Bridgerton, but it was just so refreshing to see the diversity with the actors. I'm loving that we're seeing more, models with curvy figures, and it's really important, because not everyone is supposed to look like the heroin chic model that was popular back in the 60s and 70s and in the 90s. But Tess Holliday is she is a fat positive model, and girlfriend is causing some waves, which I love. I love the fact that she is really pushing some boundaries on the industry. And so I think it's really important for us to make sure that we are, if you're following people on social media and they're triggering you, right? Like, that doesn't feel good. It's starting to make you decrease your sense of self or your personal worth. Then it's important to, I always encourage my clients to go ahead and delete, like, follow people who are inspiring to you. And so even though these people might be triggering, there's also a way of reframing it so that they become more of an inspiring, like, expander of what is possible for you. Because a lot of times when we get triggered by people, sometimes it's because they have something that we want, and it can feel like, ooh, I don't want to admit this is kind of like like my shadow side, my dark side, that's embarrassing. But the reality is that from a psychological perspective, they're also an expander for you. They're really helping you expand your capacity and recognize that there's probably a part of you that wants something that they have. And then it's an opportunity for you to explore that. If it feels too intense, then just delete them, right? But I think it's really important for you to follow those people who can serve as a role model for you and can help you, expand your capacity to, become the best version of yourself, because our world is crazy. We need everyone at the highest level to be functioning in, their most authentic and and their integrity, because we went through a really interesting situation with COVID last year. So it's a big wake up call for all of us with the self-care piece, with us stepping into our personal power and really exploring mindful and intuitiveness so that we can start listening to that inner wisdom that we've just maybe disconnected from, or that we've just really haven't cultivated in a long time.
Mhm. Well, Jennifer, I want to thank you for sharing with us. Actually, precious ladies she's from College Park, Atlanta, Georgia, and she's now on the cover of Vogue.
I
She was
mean,
walking the same streets you all were walking, and she's now on the cover of Vogue.
and she is stunning. I don't know if y'all have seen her Instagram, but I mean, gorgeous. So I love that College Park.
Yes. So we're super excited for her. But Jennifer, thank you so much for all the information that you gave us. It's really important for the models to understand the information, because this is a lifetime career, not only just as a model, but just as an individual and as a human. As Jennifer mentioned, like she was saying, she was vegan. I've been vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, listening to so many things, but yet wanting the best for my body. Yeah. So now I'm at a space where I'm like, okay, I'm going to make my own rules, kind of how Jennifer is saying, and listening, so that I don't have to go through all of these things. So Jennifer, thank you again. I'll share all your information if it's okay with.
Oh, please. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, with the students, if any of them want to take it a step further.
Yeah, or if you don't have any questions, like, this has just been such a pleasure. I'm sorry the hour goes by so fast. I'm so passionate about what I do, and I have really could like just talk for days on nutrition and the body, and especially mindful and intuitiveness, because I created a 30-day challenge because there's so much information, and I kept finding like the same patterns within people where they were struggling. I'm like, I have to create an online format that is a really good launching point for a lot of people to just step into, to start creating a different level of awareness about their body and why they do what they do with food. And so it's just so cool to see, probably like you, Pearl, with your graduates, where you're just like, oh, you're just so proud, right? You're so proud of the transition that people go through. Yeah.
Okay, well, Jen, enjoy dinner. Thank you so much.
Yes, you guys, thank you so much. Everyone, Jamaica, Virginia, like Georgia. I think I missed someone, because I know there was another. Was it Tennessee? No.
Carolina.
Carolina. Yes, sorry, Carolina. So thank y'all for taking the time on this Saturday. I hope it's beautiful wherever you are, and don't hesitate to send me any questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Pearl. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see if we can. All right, I'm just waiting for her screen to clear out. Okay. Did you all learn anything from that? Okay, well, let me hear.
What I say I learned from this is about the dieting. What I wasn't really thinking about the fact that it's like another person telling you how you're supposed to eat. I was mostly thinking about like the foods that you either limit or you just stop eating in a diet. I think that's what I learned.
So you're saying don't limit yourself. You're saying that you've learned not to limit yourself, like don't limit certain foods. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Kinda.
Okay. Anybody else? Star, what about you? You usually have something to say. Did you learn anything? Okay. Shania, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, I learned about mindless eating and mindful, like the difference between the two. Like, I didn't even know there was a name, so I learned like there is a name for the two. Like the mindless eating, you just go numb, then mindful, being aware. So I thought that was pretty cool.
What about you, Star?
It was a good refresher. I think she provided a lot of information. And what I did, well, I can say what I have experienced from the information that she provided is that, you know, that level of wellness, mindfulness, intuitive eating, etc., it takes time. And to not beat yourself up over it, and to as you understand it, to make, you know, changes here and there, because there is a lot of information and it can take you down this rabbit hole, get you confused, get your anxiety up, and then after that either you stop eating altogether or you're making mistakes because you're stressed out, you're just eating to do whatever makes you happy. So you know, I think she provided a lot of points. I would say to walk into it with an open mind, and to not stress out about it, and to, if you're really looking into it, to find a dietitian who can also help you with that and those unanswered questions. Because things like just mindfulness in itself, once you really start to be in mindfulness, trust me, everything gets on your nerves. And then you have to counter that with not being judgmental. No, I'm really being I'm really being honest here. Like for me, one thing that bothers me is like hearing people eat. But that's because like I have a vocalist ear, so I hear everything. And so I have to like leave from the table to allow other people to enjoy their food, because for me they're eating so loud that I can't enjoy my food. But see, that's just me. So that's why I said it's very good information, but it is something that you would need to get a dietitian and just be open and walk slow with it. Like when I started with you, Pearl, I was actually practicing a vegan way of eating. And so my weight was a lot smaller than what it is now. But what I realized is when I had taken some of the things out of my diet, and I was doing it because I was fasting. So it was a spiritual thing too. But I had a timeline, because I didn't want to take myself down a rabbit hole and just be so ingrained with it that I can't enjoy life because I'm so focused on what I'm eating, what I'm not eating. And for me, it was a spiritual thing, and I made it exactly that. And I gave myself a timeline, and I also forgave myself and gave myself grace in places that I didn't feel like I was meeting a target. So that's why you kind of have to walk slow with it. But what I was about to say, but with that, what that taught me was just discipline in eating. Mm-hmm. As opposed to what I can and cannot eat, you know. And it started like, so it's going to be different for everyone. And I would say like find a dietitian, or find someone who can help you carve out what your method of mindfulness, your method of intuitive, you know, eating is. That's what I would say. But she did provide a wealth of information that is extremely helpful, especially for people who may have, you know, like eating disorders, or you know, just, or who rely on food for, I don't want to say the wrong, that's not like the right thing, a coping mechanism. Yeah, as a coping mechanism, because that can also be dangerous, or someone who dismisses food for a coping mechanism. And like she said, I do agree with the fact that you need to have a healthy relationship with food. And if you find yourself, you know, not where you want to be, give yourself some grace and seek someone to kind of help guide you through that process, you know. But it's not something that you just turn the page and it happens overnight. Mm-hmm. You know.
Thanks, Star. Alex, what you thought about the presentation?
I learned about the nighttime eating. I never knew there was like a time where you stop where it would be bad afterward. I thought that was something new, because I do eat after a certain time. And
yes, I know what I think she said, like 3 hours before you sleep, so you can give that food time to digest in your body. So yeah. Sierra, what did you think?
I really like the presentation because I think it's something that I'm doing now. I didn't know it was a name for it. But just like Star was saying, it doesn't happen overnight. I've been through diets, I've been through body issues, I've been through all that, just from my life. And it started in high school. Like I always wanted to look a certain type of way. And still even now, but it's like now I'm just kind of learning, like, I need to figure out a way to be consistent. So I have to figure out my own routines than looking at somebody else's. So I just been trying to figure out like what's good for my body, like figuring out like how I should eat. Because if you look at a lot of like the workout gurus and like a lot of people I follow, it's all about counting macros or eating a certain type of way, eating this way, eating this many times. And it can be a lot, especially trying to fit it into your schedule. So now I've just been trying to just figure out like what's best for my body and like how can I like, basically like what she was saying, like if I'm full, then I'm full. If I ate, then okay. But still working out and just trying to figure out what's best for me. Because I've been through all that, all that stuff that she talked about. And, now I just come to the point like I'm just tired of it. So it's like Star said, it doesn't happen overnight. And it took years for me to get to where I am now. So, yeah.
Got you. Star, see your hand raised. Thank you, Sierra.
Yeah, I didn't want to cut anybody off, but I will say it does pain me because I never had an eating disorder, but I've been a person that's just been active. I've always been aware of food, but in our minds we always think that we need to be this certain size or we don't fit into a certain pair of jeans. But at the end of the day, it is having that healthy awareness for yourself. And so kind of like what Sierra was saying, and that's what made me raise my hand was even I wanted to have like this. I wanted to be very slim. And what's funny is now I want to be thicker than a Snicker because I'm older and I want a little bit more meat on my bones.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
So I had to pull myself together and say, I'm going to be happy, with the body that I'm in, and I'm going to take care of it. And my prayer every morning is to give my body the nourishment and the exercise that it needs to live. And from there, I'm done. And if I can't fit in this pair of jeans today, then we'll work about the next 30 days. So, all of those they're just wonderful tips. But at the end of the day, it's that mental space of you being satisfied. And like when I see like the plus size models, then I'd be like, well, how about I give me a little hip, so like
because I'm in the middle. I'm a size 8. So I'm like, since the plus size is popping off, should I just become a size 5 to start to get more jobs in the plus size area and let y'all skinny girls get the other stuff? Because you get what I'm saying? Like the plus size is popping off. You know?
Yes. So I just started to find the foods that made me feel healthy. I think that's what it started to really reside with me was what foods make me feel healthy and what foods make me feel, bloated, gassy, like I can't breathe when I walk up the step. I just became more cognizant of what I was eating. And because I do work out at either time of the day, like sometimes I work out late at night, but I know that I've eaten 3 hours early. So for me, I have the energy to go to sleep, even if I did just kind of like have a big meal because I've already worked out like for 2 hours within a day. So it just really depends, on your body. But I would just say for, if it was okay for me to give anybody any advice to give to myself is to give your body the nourishment and the exercise that it needs, to make it through the day. And I'm pretty sure we all know what that feels like. There's sometimes I do put down the lemon pepper wings because I know how I'm going to feel afterwards. And there's sometimes I eat the whole box because, I don't really care about it. But
let me get a couple of more people in. Let me get a couple more people in.
Okay, I'm good. I'm out.
Round it out for us. And then, okay. But what's your overall theme? You're saying it just depends on you and it's not going to happen overnight.
Right. And to just be very mindful of yourself. Be happy about the body that you're in. And that way you can take it up or down how you want to, but you gotta be okay with the body you have.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. Like what Star is saying, embrace what you have now. Love what you have now, because that's what confidence is about. And then wherever you want to take it from there is up to you, but embrace who you are now. Chantal, what did you think about it, Chantal?
Well, for me, I don't think I have much to add, but I've learned how to gain a few pounds by just using granola and ice cream and milk. But otherwise, for me, not everything works for me. So I'll just try the granola and ice cream to see if I gain a few pounds.
And it's weird. I've been on both sides where, I was trying to gain weight because I was so thin. And then I've been on the side where, they're like, you need to shed a couple of pounds. So I'm so glad, like I think Star and Sierra said, you just get to a point where it's like, look, this is me. You gonna hire me or not? You get what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not gonna try to change myself. But I remember at the time when I was trying to gain weight because I was thin. And then sometimes when you grow up in a Caribbean family, Chantal, because I'm Haitian, being thick is like a sign of things are well. You're in a like you're eating well. It's wealth, or so
Yeah.
I always got teased for being thin, and it was like pressure for me to eat. And I don't think that's fair either, to do that to people when they're naturally slim, So the Caribbean, has some of those isms too. Yeah. But if you're naturally thin, you're naturally thin, and embrace that. Did anybody else want to say anything about the presentation? If not, Tashish has a presentation she want to do for us. And then Shania, everybody, this is Shania. She was on the first class. She'll be doing her career development presentation for us next Zoom class. And then Sumitra, I think you have to do yours too. So for those that are not in the second level, if you want to leave, you can leave now. If you want to stick around, go ahead and stick around, because we're going to go ahead and do our career development 6-month social media presentations. So Tashish, why don't you go ahead? I gotta make sure. Oh wait. Okay.
I would have to get off of this, so you're probably not gonna see me because I don't have any internet. It's disconnected right now.
Oh, okay.
So so number 1, it says set SMART goals. What is the goal you would like to achieve with your brand on social media after 6 months? And I kept it simple. I said that I wanted to receive DMs from strangers about how I have impacted them. What do I want to say to the world? I want to say to the world that confidence comes within, and it's up to you on how you're going to remove yourself from your current situation to be more proactive and responsive to your goals. And no matter how scary it may seem, it means you're doing something right when you're uncomfortable. The third one is, who do you want to help? Who do you want to impact? I want to help preteens, teens, and young adults. In this stage, especially for preteens and teens, it's the time where confidence tends to diminish due to their changing bodies and the unrealistic standards that society has for us. And I want to let them know that I was once in their place, and what I'm doing right now wasn't an easy process, but at the end it's all about your confidence and what you do with it. The posting schedule, I said that I want to post at least once or twice a week. And during the times where I'm busy, probably once or twice every other week. And then the type of content that I want to publish would be quotes and pictures or videos of myself, quick reminders, quotes and lessons of the day or week, or morals. And I want to show like videos of fans, well, show videos and pictures of fans like showing out. For the live segment once a month, I would want my mission to like give tips on boosting esteem and talking to people about certain fears that can stop you from moving forward, and giving encouraging speeches. And the entrepreneur company, how does it tie to my, wait, it says the entrepreneur company, you started in level 1. How does it tie to your brand voice? Is your company active? And what monthly goals have you set for your business? My business is to use my writing to encourage my target audience to face their dreams and to break out of their shells. It ties to my brand voice by being able to boost confidence by doing what I do best, which is writing. And monthly goals that I have is to at least write 2 poems, songs, or raps monthly or every few months. And that concludes my presentation.
Awesome. Does anybody have any feedback? Star, seeing you kind of like shaking your head to some of the stuff she was saying. So Shania, this is like a 6-month social media, like as I've been doing the school, and I see some of the students, they got a lot of talk game. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is what I want to do. And then I'm sitting here looking like, I don't see it. You get what I'm saying? Like, in terms of you all speaking to the world so that they can connect with who you are. So I created this form so that I can give you all kind of a structure on how to communicate your mission to the world. Now, another thing I'm hearing is once a week, once every 2 weeks, once, like, we're a business. We are businesses. You get what I'm saying? As personas. So I think if you're a business and you're trying to attract people towards you, that you need to start putting yourself out there more. Now, I understand the other school of thought of whenever I get a quality picture, that's when I'm going to post it. I get that school of thought too. I just think, how can I say it? Like, I know one girl does that. She's signed to a major agency. You know what I'm saying? They're getting her jobs. But I think when you're building to get out there, you need to have some type of consistency until you can sit on your behind, and let somebody work for you. But even then, think of a Tyra Banks, think of a Kathy Ireland. Even when they had somebody working for them, their dream was so big that they kept pushing themselves to the next level. You get what I'm saying? It's not, oh, I'm Tyra Banks. Okay, I made it on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Let me chill. No, she kept elevating herself. So I hear y'all dreams. I hear your entrepreneurship projects. You got to put the action behind it in order for it to manifest. So Shania, I'm just breaking it down to Shania so you can kind of understand as they're talking what they're speaking to. And then I'm gonna partner y'all up because I don't have the energy to be watching everything that y'all are doing. So I'm gonna partner y'all up and y'all are gonna be accountability partners. Okay, Sumitra, did you go yet? Tashish, thank you. I'm looking forward to your inspirational posts. I'm glad that you started an Instagram and that I'm following you. And I'm looking forward to you all beginning to post per your description that you wrote. Sumitra, did you go yet? This girl, Sumitra, I need an accountability. Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all one because look, I don't got the energy to be going after every single one of y'all. Chantal, did you I don't think I heard yours. Did you do yours last week? 2 weeks ago?
No, I did not.
Okay, let's hear yours.
Okay. I want a wider following on social media. How about influencing teenagers? I need to have a positivity imaging. But what about my design interest and love for nature? Sigh, so many goals, but I can't have them all. Oh, what can I say to the world? Didn't you know nature is filled with different textures and colors? I want to influence teenagers and adolescents to have a positive outlook at life. Let's just hold hands and relish the beauty of nature and fashion through my pictures. Can you see me on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday? I guess not. Tune in every month at Bell_Janique for something you wouldn't want to miss. Intertwining fashion and nature through my pictures. Not pleased enough? Be on the lookout. Live segments, 15 to 20 minutes. We can talk about body positivity and how to make a garment from scratch, uniquely mine. The last question is, the entrepreneurship company started in level 1. How does it tie into your brand voice? Is your business active? And what monthly goals have you set for the business? So my brand voice talks about different textures and colors and fashion. So how does it tie into my company? How does my company ties into my brand voice? Sorry. My company is about jewelries that makes the female life easier. And they also have a variety of colors as well as textures. The last question is my business active and what are my goals? No, it is not, but the goals I've put forward is to experiment with different materials to see what works well for my designs and to also create enough designs to launch my company. Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay. See, Chantal gave us okay, first of all, I like that you were poetic with your presentation, Chantal. You came out the gate like, look, you know. So Chantal company is a jewelry company, but it's a jewelry company that's functional. So on an earring, could you explain it a little bit? Because I kind of remember the presentation, but I remember it was jewelry with a function, like you can carry things in something. Could you explain?
Yes, the one of them was basically an earring that consists of a perfume. So it would help you to, say for example, you're going out to watch a movie and you don't want to walk with an entire bottle of perfume. You just wear that earring, and whenever you need to spray some perfume on yourself,
Girl,
you just use it. And
that's $1 million idea, Chantal. You tell me I could take my earring and spray it on my neck and then put it back in my ear.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So you said with your social media platform, I heard you said, let's hold hands. You said so many goals, but not enough time. So this is going to be like your social media platform is going to be empowering with a mix of fashion and nature and your business. And how often did you say you were going to post?
Once every month. I didn't put it in this, but it's in my PowerPoint presentation. Mostly because I want to have time to think about my ideas and put them into action. Make sure they are what I want them to be. Something, you know.
But once a month, Chantal?
Yes, I think that's good enough time.
You're gonna lose me. You're gonna lose me. You're gonna lose me. Now I'll buy your product. You get what I'm saying? But then after that, you're gonna lose me. Because once a month, I think it's too long of a time break. Do you all agree with that, or am I kind of a little off? Y'all, you agree, or you kind of in the middle?
I think you're right, but since I hadn't posted anything yet, I'm not gonna beat up on her because you're right.
Okay, and Sumitra is usually at work. Sumitra, I know sometimes she'll walk off because she's at work. She started a business.
Sorry,
Oh, there
I'm
you go.
so
Okay.
sorry, guys.
No, I know you be in and out with because you at work. Did you do your presentation?
I'm almost like finishing, but not yet. I'm sorry, it's late, kind of.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna pair you all in partners so you can have an accountability partner. I'm gonna do it based on personality. Okay, Sierra and Star, you two are accountability partners for this social media. We started. Let me get a date. Because if I don't give a date, y'all gonna look at each other. Okay, we started next Saturday. That's the 27th. Okay, I want to see a post. No, actually, we starting Friday the 26th, so that when I see y'all on Sunday, I can see something. You get what I'm saying? So whatever post, the first post, Friday the 26th. Okay, everybody? So Sierra and Star are accountability partners. That means y'all are talking to each other through the week and holding each other accountable based on your career development plans. Tashish and Shania, y'all are going to be partners. Okay, holding each other accountable.
I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. But when you say hold each other accountable, like what do you mean? Like posting wise?
Yeah, like so when you like, let's say we want to get on a workout plan together. So I know what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm supposed to be doing, and we hold each other accountable. But typically when you're working out, you calling each other in the morning and getting each other up to go work out. For you all, like I said, I hear a lot of talk, and then a month will go by, and then another month will go by. Oh, like, or y'all will do a presentation. This is the business I'm gonna start, and this is what I'm gonna do. And then the whole, you know, and me, I'm running my business, so I can't be your accountability partner. You get what I'm saying? All I can do is give you the framework to say, hey, so Shania, I'm just asking you to have your sister's back. So tell Tashish, so what are we doing? What do you say you're doing this next 6 months? When Tashish tell you, I heard she's gonna write poems, she's gonna release a book, which I'm gonna help her with, because and I can help anybody that wants to release a book on this call. I'm releasing my 4th book next month. So she's releasing a book, whatever date we set. Shania, you holding her accountable, and if she doesn't release it, I'm coming for you, Shania. I'm coming for you. Okay. So likewise, if Shania tell you, Tashish, these are the goals that I'm going to reach. If Shania don't reach them, I'm coming for you, Tashish. Okay? So vice versa. It's like I can't be everybody's accountability partner. So I'm pairing y'all up. But we're gonna start with this social media first and then the business. But I just want y'all to hold each other accountable. And y'all all sent me y'all presentations. So I can look at them and see what y'all said and then, you know, verify. Chantal and Gabby, y'all are gonna be partners, accountability partners. Let me write it down. Oh, Lord. And I'm gonna alter some of your projects. That's what I'm gonna do. Because once a month is too much. It's too long. So I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna alter some of you all stuff. So that's the last thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read through it again and I'm gonna alter some of you all things. And you may not like it, but it's just to help you. Okay. So Sierra and Star, Shania and Tashish, Gabby and Chantal, and then Sumitra and Pearl. Oh man. Okay. All right. So I guess our class is gonna get cut short today unless you all want to talk about the fashion show. So there's another scene that I was thinking about doing. Since we're doing an eco fashion show, I was thinking about doing an all white scene and having somebody paint on the actual outfit. Because with the eco fashion, it's about repurposing your fashion. So that's another scene that we'll probably have in the show. And yeah, that's it. So you all, we can cut class early unless somebody wants to talk about something, get something off their chest. Shania, you catching up with everything, with the homework and everything?
Sort of. So like we have to make a presentation like for the career development plan.
Yes. Well, you can speak it out. Some people did PowerPoints. If you want to do a PowerPoint to make it easier for you as a guide, then you can do that, or you can answer the questions.
Okay. And then because I'm probably gonna make a PowerPoint, and then like for each slide of the PowerPoint, it's gonna be like a question that you put on the career development plan, and then just put it on the PowerPoint and answer. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the last thing is I want to see your entrepreneurship presentations again. So the last class, which is April. The last class is April 17th. Well, whatever the last class is before the studio, y'all have to do y'all entrepreneurship presentations again. So just take out your old PowerPoint, dust it off, and I'm gonna ask you what you've done for the last 3-4 months, okay? So dust off your PowerPoint. If you don't wanna get called out, try to do something before you do your entrepreneurship presentation so that, because we need to have what they call it, a relationship with your words. Don't just say something just to say it. Have a relationship with your words and see it through. So we'll be doing an entrepreneurship presentation again at the end of the semester.
Can we make a new entrepreneurship project?
You can, as long as you're passionate about it. I just want you to start. I just want you to start because I want more success stories. Aya bought a car. Star, you remember Aya?
Yeah.
You remember when she started? I don't know if you were there when she started Bright Black. I don't know if you was there.
No, I wasn't there when she did that, but I do remember Aya.
Yeah, this girl bought a car with her business.
That is awesome. Go ahead, girl.
And she's like an inspiration because, you know, I give y'all these assignments. Some people take it serious, some people don't. Wow. She took it seriously. And, you know, she's motivating some of the other girls because when she posted, look at my car that I just bought with my, you know, with the profits, it's like, do it, you know, like, do it. So I might have her come on 2 weeks from now to brag. You get what I'm saying? So that it might help you all kind of like get a little bit of energy behind your project. She's being featured on an entrepreneurship panel. They asked me to send them an entrepreneur. So I was like, I got to send them her. Yeah, but that's inspirational. All right. Does anybody have,
do you have a template for the
entrepreneurship? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'll send that out. I'll resend that out. Yep. I sure will. Okay. Anybody else?
Miss Pearl, like we did entrepreneurship last time, and I'm doing the same thing now, like what I have been writing on that project. And what should I do again, like entrepreneurship?
Right. So I'm going to, since you have your business going, there's additional questions that I ask after you have your business started. So I'm going to send you that because that's really what second level is supposed to be. It's going to ask you, what has been the rewards and challenges since you started your business? It asks you questions after you started your business, what you've experienced. Okay. So you can talk to us about that. But for those that haven't started their businesses, they really can't answer that question. So we're going to take them back to level 1 because they just been chilling. But Sumitra, thank you for acting upon your business, for starting your eyebrow threading business.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, has a salon, and that's why she's in and out, you know, because she's working while she's in class. So you all, the reason why we're leadership, entrepreneurship, and modeling is because I want y'all to be badasses. You get what I'm saying? Like, not only am I beautiful, not only am I a model, but I can make my own money. I'm not dependent on anybody. You get what I'm saying? Right. So I want y'all to be that full woman. Like when I've been in the modeling industry, sometimes there's girls walking around thinking they're God's gift to green earth because they look beautiful. But then when you turn 30, when you turn 35 or whatever it may be, these same women are running behind men trying to get a check because they want a certain lifestyle. When you could have stood on your own feet with your own gifts that God gave you and created your own platform and empowered yourself. So it's like you have everything. You just have to act upon it and be consistent. And it can't be no once a month consistency. What kind of momentum you're going to drive with that? You're not going to drive no momentum with a once a month post. If you're trying to make some money, money is about energy, you know, the energy that you put out on a consistent basis, and, you know, people trusting in the product that you're offering. Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming on May for the fashion show, so maybe I can do your eyebrows that timing.
Yes, yes. I heard it's painful. I saw a video. Is eyebrow threading painful?
I'll be gentle because I've been doing this work about 6 years. This is like I do have experience about it, and it depends. Like everybody have a different technique to do the eyebrows threading, and then I've been working very long time, 6 years, and then customer told me like I'm very gentle to compare than the other people. So maybe I can like less
trust
hurt.
you. I mean, I trust you. Even if it hurt, I'm gonna let you do it, Sumitra. You'll be the first one to do it on me.
Well, I'm
So,
lucky one.
I'll see what it feels like. I trust. I'm gonna let you do it. Yeah. So I'll be
But
ready.
it's worth it.
Yeah, I'll be ready. I'll be ready in May, and you let me know the
Yeah.
cost of the service. Okay. All right.
No, because you are my teacher. You are my big like inspiration. So
Okay. Well, free eyebrows then. Okay.
yeah,
I'll do a
I can do all
testimonial
students'
video.
eyebrows. No, it doesn't matter for me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Well, all right. Oh, go ahead, Star.
One more thing about the fashion show.